Hey guys, it's April. I just wanted to let you guys know that while I am beginning a project, I am going to supply the links below for you to get the pattern for this. Very, very simple pattern. Anybody can make this. We are making some stuffed pumpkins. Most of this, very little is done on a machine, and the rest is going to be done by hand. It can be done on the Cricut maker with the rotary blade and cut this, or you can add some heat bond on it, the lightweight heat bond, and cut this fabric with your Explore machines, and then we'll carry on from that point. Not a very complicated thing. Everybody can do it. I'm going to show you step for step how to do this one. It's a very easy, simple project, and I hope you guys will stick around and join me. I will be leaving on the video and putting this on my mats and things like that, so you guys won't have to watch that. But I will show you step for step what's going on and how to do this. Thanks for watching, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, I've ironed all my fabric pieces, and now I have my pink mat, and I have my first piece of fabric. And I am just brayering this down so that it is smooth, like Cricut has instructed, and making sure. I've got a little piece of lint on there, and that's driving me nuts. Let me grab that. And this one, this first piece, you don't need a very big piece of fabric. And I didn't mention before, this project, I bought a 1/3 yard of each one of my fabrics. You're going to need one 12 by 12 piece, well, not even 12 by 12 piece of one fabric, two 12 by 12 pieces of your other two colors of fabric. That's it. That's all the fabric that you need. And I have a little bit of a wrinkle there. I'm going to smooth that out. Get my brayer. And then I'm going to send this over to cut. So I have selected my fabric to cotton. I'm using a default pressure, my rotary blade, and it's telling me to load the mat. I'm going to slide my machine up a little bit so you guys can maybe see it. I'm going to tilt it just a little here so you guys can see it cut, and then we're going to hit the cut button. And it's detecting the blade. I apologize, my dog is being vocal today. And they're barking. A cat must have walked by. And that is all there is to that one. And let me tilt you guys back down here. And I am going to peel away this fabric. Perfect. 2 circles. That's right. This project is going to be a total of 6 circles in all. So let me go ahead and get those other 2 cut, and I'll be back with you guys. Okay guys, I am finished cutting, and that didn't take long. We have cut a total of 6 circles, and we are, like I don't believe I mentioned, I may have, I was going to let you guys guess, but we're making pumpkins, stuffed pumpkins, and they are going to stack. So we've got our 3 different sizes, and it's just going to be in a circle. You're going to place your right sides together on these, on each set. And then you're going to, and I bought fabric that could be a little bit tricky to use because of the lines. We're going to see how it comes out. I think I've got them lined up pretty good. But you can choose any fabric to do these. I am going to make another set using these fabrics. These cost me 97 cents a piece at Walmart. That's where I got these. It's a fat quarter. They're 18 by 21 inches. Plenty to get these out of there. Because even though I said you needed 2 12 by 12s, this is what it cut out. I could have probably gotten that other one out right here, but it didn't matter to me. If I want to make another one, I'll put it back on the mat and use that. The larger ones, you're going to need, like I said, it's maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. It's about 8 inches. But you can change the size of these pumpkins too. You can make them larger, you can make them smaller. But a 1/3 yard of fabric, or either the fat quarters, should work perfectly fine to do this with. Alright, let me go stitch these, and what we're going to do is we're going to stitch, and I'm probably going to do a 1/2 inch seam so that if it ravels or whatever, it doesn't matter, and it'll give me room to clip my curves so that it doesn't pucker up when we stuff it. So you'll want to leave an area to where you can turn your fabric once you have it stitched all the way around. You'll want to turn it inside, clip these curves and turn it inside out, and then you can press it flat if you want to. I already pressed my material, so I'm probably going to skip that step, but that's all there is to this step of it. Let me go stitch these and I'll be back with you. Okay guys, I have stitched all my circles and turned them. You only need to leave enough room for you to be able to get your finger in there and turn these. I've already stitched this one. I left an opening right here to get my fingers in, and I've clipped around the curves. And you don't want to clip all the way up to your stitches or clip your stitches, but you want to get close. And then you're just going to stick your fingers in there and push it in between, almost like till it looks like a fortune cookie. And then you're going to pull this side back and pull it to turn that. And then you're just going to work your fingers around and let it form its little circle. It may look a little flat and everything on some sides. Don't worry about that. We're going to fix that. And then the next thing you're going to need is some polyfill or some stuffing. Let's see if I can zoom for you guys there. But just some fiberfill. That's all you need. And we're going to stuff these and make little balls out of them. And your polyfill will come with some little sticks if you need them. And that's for projects that are long. Some people use them. I normally don't use them. I really don't need them. Can usually get my fingers in there and get everything stuffed pretty good. But I'm just taking pieces of this and stuffing it into the opening to form a little ball. And you want it to be a little bit tight. You're going to have some give. You don't want it so tight that it doesn't squish when you mash on it, and there's a reason for that, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. So when I squish on this, the sides will pull in and things like that. It's not so tight. And then you're just going to take a needle and thread, and you're going to tuck the raw edges on this and kind of work it to where it's a circle. And then you're just going to stitch that closed. Just kind of whip stitch it to where you can hide your edges just a little bit. And I will show you guys what I mean by that in just a few minutes. I'm going to stuff these and stitch 2 of them up, and I'll come back and show you how I stitch the other one closed. Okay guys, I'm back. I have all of my little pumpkins stuffed. I have my needles threaded. I have a dark threaded needle for my 2 dark ones, and I have a light thread for my other one. And everybody hand stitches differently, so the way that you close this up is going to be up to you. I've just threaded my needle and knotted it at the end, and then I go to the inside and bring it up, which some people call the ditch, in the seam, so that knot is to the inside. And then you're going to, I'm just going to lay my needle down here. You can pin this if it's easier for you, whatever works for you. But you're just going to close this up and somewhat get it into a circle shape. And then hold it, and you can see that's kind of straight. It doesn't look straight there. And then you're just going to bring your needle in and pick up the material on both sides and stitch this closed with the whip stitch. So I'm going to do another one here so you can see. Probably should do it smaller than that. But it doesn't have to be anything really fancy, no fancy stitching or anything. You're not going to be able to see this when we're done. And just go ahead and close up your seam on all three of your pieces. Let me do that and I'll be back with you guys. Okay guys, I've got that first one stitched. It's just kind of hard to do that and work the camera too. And I've got here to the end, and I'm just going to knot my thread to end it. Nothing fancy, and you just kind of slip knot it again, and I'm going up into the middle of that circle just like you would if you were tying shoes, and then I'm going to pull that and I'm going to cut that thread off. And then that one is done, and like I said, you're not going to see that when we get done, so you don't have to be it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just stitch it closed so the stuffing doesn't come out. Let me stitch the other two. I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back, and I have closed all of my pumpkins, and you can squish them around and get that fiber to where it's filling it out pretty good. I like to roll mine and get them to where it breaks up and fills out as best that it can. The next thing you're going to need is what they call a doll needle, and I purchased some new ones so you guys would know what I was talking about. These are very long needles, and it is a doll needle, D-O-L-L, and you need this because you need something that's going to go all the way through. You're also going to need some embroidery thread. Now you can use one color. For this one, I wanted to use 3 different colors on mine. That's why I chose to do mine that way. But you can just choose one color and go with that. On the other set that I said I was going to do in the gray, I chose one color. I'm going to use a gray and be done with that one, but this one I wanted to do a little bit different. So let me get one of these threaded up, and I will be back with you in just a moment. I wanted to tell you guys too, all of your embroidery is going to have like a tail that's loose on the outside. You don't want to pull the one that's on the inside. If you see it, you want to pull the one that's to the outside of the thread, and you're just going to pull that through. And that's going to allow you to keep this paper on there until it gets so light that it does come off, and then you'll need to wrap it on a piece of cardboard to keep it from tangling. But you're going to cut a good long section of this. I'm going to say, I know this sounds crazy, but I put one end of it in my hand, and I stretch my arms out straight out on each side as far as I can stretch them. And then that's where I cut my thread. So I'm going to have probably about, I don't know, 3-5 feet of thread. I'm 5'4", so it's about as tall as I am. So I've cut mine, and I'm going to thread my needle and come back to you guys. Hey guys, I'm back. I haven't threaded my needle yet. Another point that I need to make is you're going to need a needle threader. Now these things come in all shapes and sizes. So you're going to need something that you can use. This type is my favorite with embroidery thread. This works fine for sewing thread. I don't know if you can even see that. It's just like a little metal piece that goes inside the eye of the needle. And then you put your thread through it and pull it back out, and it threads the needle. This one does basically the same thing. It has a small end and a large end depending on what size needle you have, and this is a small one. So I'm going to, let me see if you can, I'm going to place that through, and then it's just going to hang on there. If you can see that, it's just going to hold it on there. And then, well, Well, I dropped it. I usually do this in one fatal swoop, but I'm trying to do it so you guys can see. Because we're using this embroidery thread and it is thick, because we're not splitting it like you would if you were cross-stitching. And then you're just going to put it in that hook, like so. You're going to hook your thread there, and then you're going to pull it through that eye of that needle. And it's going to be a little tight, but it will go through. And then you're going to unhook the thread from it, and it will be threaded, just like that. Then you're going to knot the end of that. Let me close up my little case there. I do cross stitching, so. But you're going to knot that thread and give it a really good knot on the end. You don't want that knot to come loose. Okay? And then you're going to, that cup is basically almost right in the center of this. You're going to put your doll needle straight down all the way through to the other side. And you're going to pull it out. And pull your thread until you've got that knot. Don't worry about that knot, not going to be seen. And then you're going to go back in just to the other side of that, like you would if you were sewing on a button with two holes in it. And then you're going to come right back up beside that. That's going to give you a good pull. And you're going to pull that down in the center. And hold it. And then go back down again. And come through. Oops. You want to make sure you go straight in each time. And come straight back out at the same point. So I've got my finger there, and I wanted it to come up right beside my finger, and it did. But you're going to pull that as tightly as you can to get that to kind of suction down in the middle. Okay? Don't know if you can see that, but it's got a dimple in the middle now. Then we're going to, with it being on this side, we're going to loop it around, and then we're going to come down in the center again, pulling that tight. And then you want to come out in the center on the bottom. And just pull it tight. Or taut. You want to give it a little bit of a dent there. You want the thread to give it a little dent in your material. I know this one's hard to see. I'm going to show you on the other one too so that you can see. And hold your threads. I hold it with my thumb and forefinger. And come back up again from the bottom. And, oops, I got a little bit of a knot there. If you got a knot, just stop and let it relax and pull it out. And I unthreaded my needle. And you're just going to pull that taut like I said. Let me rethread my needle, and I will, let's see, maybe I can leave you guys on with me while I do that. Maybe I can do it a little quicker. It's in a box here. This is my favorite one here. This is the easy one to work with. And it's probably easier to see. Like I said, they come in all shapes and sizes. And if you've ever stitched, you know you got 1,000 of these laying around because you can never find one when you need it. Again, I'm putting that needle on, then the thread. Then I'm forcing the needle. Whoops, I slipped. You're going to pull that, while holding the thread, you're going to pull that needle off through the thread. If I can get it to stay. Of course, it always wants to do what it wants to do when you're on camera, right? There we go. Let me pull my end through so I don't undo it again. There we go. Okay, now we're pulled taut. Now, this is where we just did the other, and it's here. Now I'm going around this end and coming to the middle where it's dented in, and coming back up through the middle here. And you can adjust your thread and get it where you need it. You just want to come across on it. I have a piece of stubborn thread there. There we go. And so now we're going to pull that one a little taut. So it's pulling that one in. And you'll feel your thread get tight. Then you're going to, if your thread is slipping whatsoever, just so that it doesn't move on you, go back through the center again. Pull your thread slowly so that if it knots like that, you can still get it out. I may have to cut mine and redo it. I may have pulled mine too tight. Do as I say and not as I do. Let me see if I can work that out. Could probably loosen it up enough to get it. There we go. I got it. Yay! Again, pull it tight. You want those little indents to be there. Then you're going to go to the other side. You're basically making this into 4 sections to start. Oops, I'm sorry, I bumped my camera. I should probably have it up a little bit higher. I'm going to pull that through. My thread keeps wanting to knot. Make sure you pull slowly. If you pull too quick, sometimes it'll do that with embroidery threads. And then I'm going to go back down through the center and out again. And then I'm going to come up on the other side, sectioning this off into 4 sections. And you can see it starting to take form and shape here a little bit. Hold that thread, go back down. Don't want to come up on the side. You want to get as close to the center as you can to keep that tight. And now I'm going to do the same thing coming up in between those 2 here. I'm going to come up in between there and through the middle again. I apologize if I get off camera for a second. That middle can get a little bit tight where all the thread in and out, so you're just going to come up as close to the side of it as you can. And now I'm going to go across from that, underneath, and I'm going to pull it through again. Go in and tighten that one. What I mean by that is I'm just going to put another stitch in to hold it. I'm going to go back to the other side. And now I'm going to come up on these 2. This is a very, very easy project. It's quick, not a lot to it. Come back up on the other side. And come up the middle. My thread moved over a little bit. Let me get that back in the center and tighten that one down. Holding those threads, holding it tight. I'm going to come back in. And I unthreaded myself again. That's okay. So now you're going to have a total of 2, 4, 6, 8 sections. If you want more, you can do more. That's probably going to be enough for me. And then I have my buttons somewhere. I'm going to let that go. I can pull it back tight. Let me grab my buttons and I'll be right back with you. I have misplaced. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know how you misplace a big jar of buttons, but anytime I buy clothing that has spare buttons on it, I have jars of buttons where I just throw those in there. And I have some clear buttons. That's what I'm using on this. They don't have to be clear. You're not going to see them. Use whatever buttons you have. And this is the way I like to end it, just because that helps hold that thread down in the center. And I'm just going to stitch it down there. I'm going to come back up off the bottom, and I'm going to come into that second hole. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's a little tricky. A one-hole button will work just as well. You just want to stitch that button down. You can stitch it down from the center, and I came through it. Anyway, you get the idea. Stitch your button down in the center, and then tie your knot off at the end, just like you would any other. That's just going to hold it in place. So once you get that knotted, then that part will be done. Go ahead and do the other two the same exact way, and I'll be back with you. Just to show you guys, I have a button on this side, button on this side, and this is going to be the bottom. That way it looks finished if anybody picks it up once we're done. And then you have your button here that's going to help us attach the others. And I'll show you how we're going to do that after we get through stitching this in the same manner, making them look just like this with the sections. I'll be right back. I forgot to tell you guys, once you have your two buttons on there and you've got it tight, the way I finish mine off is I just wrap that thread around that button. That's why I told you it's going to help you end this up a few times. It's going to be tight enough, it's not going to come out, and then you can just snip that thread off. There's no need to. Okay guys, I have everything stitched here, and like I said, you're going to, you can either leave these like they are and use them in various different ways with your arrangement. I'm going to put mine with some flowers and stuff. I haven't done those yet. I'm going to do some of the Leah Griffith flowers, I believe, and to make my arrangement. So I used a brown button on this one. I didn't have any clear, but it looks fine. It blends in. You can't tell. And it's not going to matter anyway unless somebody picks it up and looks at the bottom of it. They're not going to see those buttons. This is where you'll need a doll needle. Now I told you if you don't have one, you can stitch it, you know, this way with just a regular needle to tack those together so they don't move if you want to do them in a stack without them being movable. But a doll needle will go through all of these and stitch them from the top to the bottom, and that way they won't move. So if you want to do it like that, you can. The doll needle will go through. As you can see, I've got about a finger's width, but that will push all the way through. And the way you would do that is just go up under the button with your knot and push down through each and every one. Come back to the bottom, and then just like we ended the others, wrap your thread around that bottom button 8 or 10 times, and it's done. And that will hold them together through the center, and you won't have any threads showing on the sides. Okay, let me get my stem materials together, and I'll be back with you guys. Hi guys, I'm back. Okay, I have a couple of ribbons here that I'm using. This is like a woven type ribbon. And what I'm doing with that, I'm waiting on my glue gun to heat back up, or my glue pen. And I have rolled it, starting in the center and just off-rolling it just a little bit. And then I am going to tack it down on top of this small pumpkin. Now the others will be bigger because you want them to kind of match up to the pumpkin that you have. I am waiting on those to dry. Now this smaller ribbon is just like a gross grain ribbon. It's got little dots on it, and it's about the same color as the other stuff in my project. And what I've done is I have put fabric stiffener on it. I cut my links and I ran them through the fabric stiffener. They're in there on the parchment paper, or you can use wax paper drying. But after I cut my links, I ran them through that fabric stiffener, and then you can just wrap them around straws. Now you can put a piece of tape or something on there to hold it if you want. I just let mine spring loose freely. But after I had done that in the fabric stiffener, I wrapped it around. It will of course be sticky, and it will be sticking. It's almost like a thin glue. and then you're going to just let it, mine didn't relax that much because it had the stuff on it, but you're just going to let it stiffen up. You can skip that step totally if you want. You can put a leaf on here. I'm probably going to do that. I think I'm going to cut some of the paper, 3 leaves that are in Design Space. I'll put those in the file if I use them so that they're sized right for you. And you can totally cut those out of fabrics and make the applique out of those too and put on there if you want. I still haven't decided which way I'm going to do mine. It looks like my glue pen is heating up here. And then I'm just going to squeeze a dab on there. No, it's still heating. Not quite there yet. Let's see. I'm going to give that a minute to heat. I'm going to go check on those and then we'll get started putting those on there. And I'll show you how I wrapped this other ribbon to make the stems for these. Okay, now my glue pen has heated up and I set that one on there. And you can see from the side how that one looks there. Just let that glue dry and then we'll get all the little glue hairs off of them. Now I'm going to put just a dab of glue on this ribbon, and I am not cutting this from the spool. I am leaving that on, and I am just going to roll this ribbon up. Let it get stuck there to give me a core, and I'm using low temp so I don't burn myself. And then I'm kind of pressing it and shaping it, trying to get a curl on it as I go. But I need this one to be a good size on there. So I'm just going to roll, and every so often I'm going to put a dab of glue, and then I'm just going to continue rolling. And I'm going to go back up to the top because I want this one to be a little fatter than that one was. So you're just going to work with it till you achieve the look that you want. Once I have these made and that fabric dries in there, I will be back with you. Okay guys, I'm back. And these are not completely dried yet, but this is that floppy little gross grain ribbon, and you can see that it's pretty stiff. It's not, like I said, it's not completely dried yet, but you should be able to work with it and put more curls into it once it dries. Just for time's sake, I'm just showing you how I attach them. I just picked a place in there and I pressed down next to my button because I did not hot glue my stem past my button, and I just tucked it up under there so that it came around, and then you can move it as you see fit. And I've decided on this set, because of the color and in my kitchen, I am not going to put any green leaves or anything on it. I like it just the way that it is. Let me get the other ribbon and put on that one. And I am going to cut this one. Now I did make them extra long. I don't need that much for this. Just so I could clip and do what I wanted to do. And then I'm just going to do the same thing here on this top one. And after, like I said, it dries, you can work with it. It does stiffen the fabric, and you can shape it as it's drying, and that's why I wanted to go ahead and get mine on there. I may need to, I've got a little more glue on this one than I wanted, so I may hot glue this one down over that glue right there. Not that anybody will probably ever notice it, but I know it's there and it won't bother me. So, but again, that is the project. It's complete. You can put these, like I said, with the vase flowers. You can stack them, do whatever on your fall table. I did look for other fall colors. I like this fabric, and I'm still going to continue to look for some fall fabrics to do this in some greens and oranges and purples. But I'm liking the way that came out. I hope you guys like this video. Please give us a thumbs up. I'm going to take a still photo of this with some flowers, and I will post it for you guys to see. Come over to the Facebook group and join up. Cricut Crafting and Cricut Maker Projects. Those are the two groups. Join us. We'd love to have you over there. Go ahead and get your supplies together. Make one of these and post your pictures for me. I would love to see how yours turn out and what fabrics and things that you chose for your fall pumpkins. Y'all have a wonderful day and make something beautiful. Thanks for watching.